What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from AlexAFE, and today we have another deck profile. So today I'm actually going to give you two different decks for the same archetype overall, a little bit different from one another. We are actually going to be looking at Greedon. So Greedon, over the course of the last couple sets, has actually gotten support, and I feel like overall, yes, some things kind of eclipse this, but I feel like overall this is still a fairly consistent deck. It is a high roll deck. It still can beat out a lot of other things that definitely are not expecting it. So if you have these cards laying around, you want to re-update them. These are just some things that I have been rocking in the current format. I've been testing against a lot of different things, and I feel like they feel pretty solid overall. And if you are looking for a good kind of like budget beater, I think one of these lists can be for you. So without further ado, let's hop right in. So I'm going to start off with the Masque Build, and first we're just going to go over the ride line here. And again, if you guys are interested in purchasing any of the cards you see here today, we do have a TCG Player affiliate link down in the description below. Absolutely no cost to you. You can help support the channel. I definitely do appreciate it, so thank you in advance. So firstly, just keeping it in theme because it does have the Desire Devil name. I am running the Desire Devil, how do you say this, Tato over here, the grade 0. The grade 1 in theme as well, just because when ridden upon, you could reveal a Greedon in your ride line. Go and drawing a card early game, absolutely, you know, just drawing cards in this game in general is just really good at any point. So yeah, definitely do that. When this is put on Rearguard from your soul by your Vanguard's ability, its second skill, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can CB1 till the end of turn when your opponent can call cards from hand. They must guard with 2 or more. So Battle Door for the turn is actually really big. And then lastly, over here, Desire Devil, Boshalku, something like that. But when this guy's ridden upon, you could put a card from your hand into your soul, and then go find a copy of that card from your deck, and then put it into your hand. So feeling your soul for a little bit later for this guy's cost, for other things in general, is really decent. And there are clones that you can go and find different things off of, which we will go over a little bit later. So its second skill during your turn, if your damage zone has 4 or more cards, your Avarice German Dragonic Demon, whatever, over here, basically Greedon gets an extra 5k. So again, you're not going to be on that Vanguard, but overall its skill is pretty decent enough to really just still run it. Ideally, in this build, you will transition into Masque, and since this guy has quotation, not just Vanguard with Greedon in its card name, this does have this specific Greedon. You can't actually, you know, that's not live once you do ride into the Masque build. But Greedon itself, just to go over its skill, if your soul has an extra copy of itself, you can actually then go to 7 instead of 6 damage to lose the game. So that's been its shtick for a whole while. And then at the end of battle, it attacked, you could Soul Blast 2, put 4 standing rear guards into soul and stand this unit. If your soul has 10 or more cards, then this guy gets 15k until the end of turn. So only really going to be able to do 1 restand pretty much per turn, but with this build over here, but very consistent overall. You definitely need the Greedon name to kind of get that going. Let's hop into the main deck now. Starting off with the main deck, this is like the main boss unit, obviously, that you do want to find every single game. This is going to be Greedon himself, Greedon Masque, Avaricious Demon, Greedon Masque. This guy can only be ridden from a grade 3 with Greedon in its card name, and then the second skill continues on Vanguard. The number of cards in your damage zone for you becomes 7, so you don't even need the Greedon in your soul. You just automatically get that, so you can Soul Blast the Greedon out, basically, if you really want to. Act on Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, remove a card with Greedon in your different card name from your hand, soul, or a drop. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose the 1 card with Desire Devil in its card name from among it, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, so adding things to hand, just to sacrifice that Greedon name. Again, you don't want to Soul Blast that out, you want to use it for this skill if you really want to dig into your deck. Auto on Vanguard Circle once per turn at the end of battle, this unit attack. If your soul has 3 or more cards with Desire Devil in their card names, put 3 standing rear guards into your soul, stand this unit, it gets 5k until the end of turn. This is nice because it's not the 4 that it used to be. On top of that, that kind of like frees up the fact that we don't need to run another card which costs resources to get like another multi-attack, so you will always have a standing unit no matter what. That's absolutely fun. You could have 2 in the front as well. This also helps you with multi-attack, which we're going to show you with a couple cards later. But yeah, this is all, you know, this card's been out for a while, so I'm sure many of you guys have already seen it, but 4 copies of it. You want a Persona ride, you want to be able to go find that Masque, find that Greedon, just go to town on them over and over. Next up over here too, Desire Devil, Mushin. I think this is actually such an important card. This is really like the multi-attack enabler, or something that makes it like so easy to just kind of keep on going, recycling your soul, refueling it, and just kind of doing what the deck wants to do. Auto in soul when your Vanguard with Greedon in its card name attacks. If it's the second battle of this turn, if you do not have a rear guard with the same card name as this guy, you may call this card to Rearguard Circle. If you called a card at the end of turn, you cannot put this into soul by your Vanguard's ability, and it gets 5k. So you can't just like spam this guy out over and over every time you swing Greedon. Otherwise, that would be kind of broken. So I understand, but this guy popping out with 5k, something else kind of giving it 5k as well, just feels really good. I think that this, again, this is like the main multi-attack enabler. This is what we have to see. Because of that, I am running it at 3 of. Once you see multiple copies, it can become a little bit dead. So that's why it is at 3, not like 4. So definitely want to search it, go find it, have it in your hand. You can mull for it if you really want to as well. One of these guys right here, this is Desire Devil Dokusen, and I think I want to up this maybe to 2. I'll show you what I would cut if I am Gonna do that just potentially a little bit later, but this guy's kind of like the recycler in the deck as well from drop. When this guy's placed on Rearguard Circle, you can choose up to 1 card with Greedon or Desire Devil in its card name from your drop, put it into your soul, and if your soul is total of 3 or more cards with Greedon or Desire Devil in the card name, this guy gets 5k until the end of turn, so very easy to get that extra power threshold, helping you out on like a Persona Ride turn. Honestly, a 28 swing is better than like a 23. So that does make a difference. But again, things get recycled out, soul blasted, whatever the case may be, it just gets dumped, destroyed, attacked, whatever. You want to recycle it, put it back in. There's other things that pull them out. This card does feel very good in tandem with a lot of other things. If you like sequencing, that kind of feeling in your deck, this definitely enables it. So I'm running it at a 1 of right now just because like I feel like it's a tool piece, but I think I might bump it to 2. So just beware of that. And then of course this is a Masque deck, so we need to run the Masque package. The Masque itself over here, you know, I'm not gonna go over the skill. You guys know this. It's an unfortunate evil for this deck. I feel like the best part of this deck is not the Masque itself, like just digging into your deck, getting things, whatever is great, sure. This can go and activate and put things into your soul, but like overall, it is what it is. We just ride and run it because we have to have that for our Greedon Masque, and unfortunately, that's like the most expensive part of this deck. If you didn't have if you have the Masque package, this deck is like pennies. If you don't, you know, you have to invest a little bit to get this. It's still not a very expensive deck comparatively, but it should be around. I think if you don't have anything, this deck is maybe around like the $60 price range, I think right around there. So it's still like fairly budget, all things considered. Next up here too, getting into the grade 2 lineup, we are looking at Dragon Tree Wretch Skull Kemda. So part of the Dragon Tree Wretch kind of combo again, you Counterblast, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your rear guards without Dragon Tree marker, put a marker on there, search your deck for up to 1 Masque, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. The Masque symbol is like, you know, whatever, the Dragon Tree marker, it's fine. It gives you a little bit more juice, I guess, for the attacks. Can help you hit those certain thresholds, but overall, this is really just to go with the Masque, just to go into the Greedon. So it's an unfortunate evil, have to do it in the deck. Next up here, some more recent support. This obviously came out a couple sets ago, but at this point, I haven't really updated the video since then, so I am including it here. Desire Devil Arake, I think that's how to say it, Arakra or something. When this guy plays on rear guard during your main phase, you can Energy Blast 3, choose a unit with Desire Devil, a different in its card name from this unit from your soul, call it to rear guard circle. So getting stuff out, just making your kind of soul like a piggy bank is absolutely great. I feel like this deck no longer has the issue that it used to, that like, oh, I have to call a bunch of cards from hand, oh, I have to rip them off top deck or whatever. Like it's very like recycle easy, very like just feel your board floods without you really trying because of cards like this, and you're not really using Energy Blast outside of this. And any other card, I believe, yeah, so just really good to kind of have. Front row, rear guard circle once per turn when you're grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Greedon on its card name attacks. Until the end of turn, that unit gets 5k, and then your damage zone is 4 or more cards. This guy gets 5k as well. So just giving a little extra 15k poke, 25 on a Persona Ride turn, hit a trigger, put it on, sure, it's 35. It's hitting like decent thresholds overall, but really just giving your Greedon that extra 5k is the big push here. I think this card is just absolutely great, does everything the deck wants to do. Super cheap too for a triple rare, so if you like this in-theme kind of archetype support, I definitely would suggest putting this, just picking up a couple copies. And yeah, this is a really, really solid card in the deck. Next up here too, again, another cheap reprint, or actually new print out of a new set. This is going to be Desire Devil Akun, I think that's how to say it, Akun. When this guy plays on Rearguard Circle, if you have a Vanguard with Greedon or Desire Devil in its card name, you get to Counterblast 1. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 unit card with Desire Devil from its card name from among them, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle the deck. Its second skill, Act in the Soul. Basically, if you have a grade 3 with Greedon in its card name, Soul Blast 1, bind this card, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and put it into Soul. So, that's like an okay kind of like, you know, spot removal, but really just like the CB to go find top 5. Like sometimes you're 1 card short of doing your combo. This will make or break it. This again makes that like you can conserve cards in hand and not really have that same issue. So I like this guy. I'm trying him out. I maybe would cut him to 3 and bump that other grade 3 I was talking about, the one that recycles from drop. I maybe would bump that to a 4 of, just because there are some things that we do want to be using Counterblast for, and I feel like this kind of sometimes feels good. Most of the time it feels really good, so I'm like running it pretty much at max copy, but sometimes I feel like I have the resources I need, and I don't need to go grab like an extra card or something. Like it feels like it's good when it's really good when it's good, and it's like okay when it's not, because it doesn't gain any power itself. So that's really like the big kind of if statement on this thing right here. The nice thing too is if you have Vanguard with Desire Devil in its card name, meaning if you are on grade 2, you can pop this down, kind of rush a little bit early. This helps you in that regard, which I actually really like about the card. But overall, again, maybe cut this to 3. Again, I think I'm trying it at 4. kind of on the fence there, so to be determined, but just want to kind of show you that option. Next up over here, Desire Devil Fujo. So Fujo has been around for a bit too. When this card is put from rearguard into the soul by the ability of your Vanguard with Greedon's card name, choose one of your opponent's rearguards. You may retire it. So that's, again, spot removal is always decent. It kind of gives us like tools in this deck to do that. The real zinger is in the soul when your Vanguard with Greedon and its card name attacks. You can bind this card until the end of battle when your Vanguard would call. When your opponent would call cards from their hand to Guardian Circle. They must call 2 or more at the same time. Now, that's not for the whole turn like the ride line. That one's just for that battle, so just be aware of that. But getting that battle door is pretty good at multiple different points in the game. Obviously, you want to whittle your opponent's hand down. This really helps you do that. So including it at 2 of. You can bump it to 3 if you really want. I feel like at 2 of, you see it just enough. Another card at 2 of, I am just going to put the more legible copy on top. I tried doing that over here, but Desire Devil Sasayu, I think that's how to say it. Basically, in the deck, it says any other Desire Devil name. So for the ride line, if you go and put a Desire Devil, whatever one you want into Soul, you can go search this out, and this has the same name as that card that you put there. Its second skill also on rear and Guardian Circle. If your Soul is 3 or more cards with Desire Devil in its card name, this guy gets 5k power, 5k shield, so a little extra buff either way. Feels decent. It's a good card. I think at 2 of, it's fine. Again, you can play with higher ratios, but I think at 2 of, that's kind of the sweet spot. Next up here, I'm trying with the other builds to include Elementaria, but as of right now, for 3 standing units, I'm just including like 4 regular PGs right here. These are the regular effect triggers. You can use any style that you want, either the old one if you like, the new one over here, it doesn't matter, just split 2 and 2. But the only reason, yeah, like I said, I need standing units to actually go into Soul. Sometimes if you have the Elementaria that's not a unit, can't be on board, can't be sucked into Soul, it's kind of silly. You know, sometimes it comes up, I feel like once out of every like 7, I played like 7 or 6 games of this in a row. Came up like 1 time, so I feel like on the odd time where it matters, it might matter. Don't really play against too many personally right now. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, not like a ton of Stride decks, so if Stride decks were super prevalent in the meta, yeah, sure, like toss it in, it's fine. But otherwise, 4 of these is actually pretty cool over here. Next up for the grade 1, something that is a little bit more recent as well. This is going to be Desire Devil Goju. So Goju is a grade 1 that when your unit is put into rearguard circle put into Soul from the rearguard circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Greed on its card name, Energy Blast 3 and put this card into your hand. So again, fueling your hand for a little bit later. It does buff itself up to continues on Guardian Circle. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Greed on its card name and your damage zone is 4 or more cards, this unit gets an additional 5k. So again, soak damage early, have these counterblasts available, you know, go for it. I think that this actually is a very like underrated card in this deck. I see some people kind of cut it completely from their lists. I feel like at times this is like the make or break, adding that 1 extra card to your hand, keeping that little bit of like hope alive for either like PG fodder or just an extra 10k shield. Like in a game of margins like Vanguard, I feel like that extra 5k shield does matter. You know, think about how many times you intercept, give yourself a boost, or use something to give you just that little bit more to get over the hump. I feel like that's what this card is. Now, you don't, obviously it robs itself from going into your Soul, so you don't have like extra Soul Blast to start running through, but at the same time, if you kind of limit it and you play it correctly, I feel like this card is actually super impactful. More of a flavor card over here, something that I really like to include. This is one Desire Devil Incane, something like that. When this guy is placed on rearguard circle, if you Persona Road this turn, you get the Soul Charge 1. Its second skill, when this unit is put on rearguard circle from your Soul. For your Vanguard's ability, you can CB2, choose one of your Vanguards, gets an extra 5k plus a drive until the end of turn. Now, you're only really swinging twice, but at the same time, like that extra drive check, I feel like anything with a triple drive is like so good. It really does make it more threatening, and again, this is a game of fine margins. If your opponent puts a 2 to pass, boom, that third one is that second to pass. Like, it feels really good. I feel like this is always like, this card never feels bad in like any way, shape, or form, so I always like to use it. Just one of, because it is very expensive to use. You are using a lot more counterblast now for the new card over here too. I was running this at 2 of, so I cut it down. But experiment, do whatever ratio you want, whatever you feel is correct. I think that this card is really decent overall. Quickly, just to go over the triggers, we are looking at 8 crit. Of course, this is Vanguard. This is a restanding Vanguard. You want to end the game as quick as possible. You can do the into Soul ones. I just, didn't have a bunch of spares. I didn't want to go digging through other decks. Because this one over here for the Masque build is able to have like multiple things stand in the column and actually see multiple drive checks, I'm actually including one of the front trigger. You can include 3 if you want. I'm still going 2 draws just to get me those pieces, just to get me a little bit further throughout the game. I think the fronts aren't bad. I think you really can go either way. I'm just testing it out. Again, I don't think this deck is absolutely perfect the way it is. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 things I would kind of change, but this is really the structure, the bones. This is how I kind of present it to you guys. I always say that, make your own changes, make your own things. I think this is one of the areas that you can definitely do whatever you would like to. For regular heals, I don't think, you can do the restanding one. I think the restanding one's okay right now for a lot of different decks, but overall I think the regular one's okay, and this is just the Dark States OT. I think that is the best one right now. For this deck, just restanding, hit that early, you have just an absolute blowout kind of strategy, just having that crit on it for the whole entire game. But yeah, that is the Masque build. Let's pause a second and let's hop into the regular build. Hopping right into it with this build over here, it's pretty much the same exact ride line. There's no changes, just really same exact thing, so we're not going to go over that twice. But obviously the main deck has changed, so over here we are running 3 more copies of Persona Ride. You guessed it, it's a restanding deck. You definitely want to restand and have Persona Ride to do that on. I feel like the ceiling for this deck might be a little bit higher than the Masque build, honestly, but consistency isn't quite there. This is one of the reasons you don't have 4 copies of your Persona Ride throughout. You can't activate that Persona Ride on your first, going second turn or whatever, but I feel like still this deck does have a lot going for it. I feel like you can still take games off of a lot of different things. And again, if you're somebody who wants to update their old decks and really just keep alive, have fun, play some fun games, I feel like this is actually a really fun list. I enjoy playing it. I've been playing the base version. I've been playing the Masque version for a while, but I've been playing the base version too, just trying to keep it alive, keep it going, and I don't think it's terrible. I think it's definitely interesting if you want to build it. I feel like now it has that extra oomph it really needed for me to bring it to the channel and show to you guys. So I am excited to kind of get into this one right here. This is kind of the pet project. But next up over here, we have 3 copies of Desire Devil. Mushin again, same concept. You're swinging again, you're going to go, you want multi-attack, you bring this guy out over here. It can't be resucked back into Soul. That's the only big thing, so just know that when you kind of start attacking and planning things out. In the heat of the moment, sometimes you get a little nervous or whatever. It's hard to calculate against your opponent. Just know that this guy cannot be brought back into Soul, so don't get called on something silly like that. For this build, because we are Soul Blasting consistently, so much, I actually am putting 2 of the Desire Devil Dokusen into it. I think that's how to say it. But yeah, again, just taking things from your drop, putting it back into Soul, recycling these things and having them available. Also, there are other things that call out from Soul still in this deck, so a lot of it is the same shared support. My idea of things kind of is very similar, but a little bit different overall. As we'll go through it, you will see. But 2 of those cards right there. Still 4 copies of this guy, or the Akare, something like that, Arake. I don't know how to say it off the top of my head, but again, fueling your field for Energy Blast, something that you don't really use otherwise, a whole ton. I feel like this is a really decent card. It needs to be maxed out in both builds, in my opinion, just to get your board state kind of correct, get everything kind of recycled from your Soul. I actually really do like this guy. The 5k to your Van as well is pretty big. The new support I am still running at a 4 of as well. I just think, again, being able to have that combo of pulling stuff from Soul, that combo of pulling things from the top of the deck, going and getting these units, I mean, it really makes filling your board effortless. That was the big, like I said, hang up previously in this deck, and the idea behind this is that it makes it so easy that it's kind of effortless to do what Greedon wants to do over and over, which is absolutely great. So 4 of these guys right there as well. 3 copies of the horse this time around, just because I feel like there are times where you want to multi-attack on your Vanguard, and you're going to be able to get more than one restand potentially, and this kind of comes up at certain points where it's okay, I think I don't know if I can get him on the second swing. I can get him on the second or the third if I do pop this off. So it's one of those kind of flavor things where you can change this if you want again, but I kind of do like it just for the potential and the possibility a little bit later into the game. But binding this card to make them do the battle door is really decent. Again, 2 of these over here, just making it super easy, simple. Pop those back into Soul, back into hand from when you put the card into Soul. 5k is decent on the attack, 5k is decent for an extra shield, so definitely nice including this in the deck. Just 2 of is absolutely fine. Now the grade 1 lineup is where things really kind of change overall. You might be saying to yourself, hey look, a lot of this package seems absolutely the same between the 2 decks. What is the main difference? And really it's this guy over here. This is going to be the Bubetsu. I think this card's a little expensive since the Rising Greedon builds, but if you can get these for decently cheap, I think this whole deck should be under $50, honestly, altogether, making it super budget in my opinion. Desire Devil Bubetsu, rearguard circle once per turn when your other rearguard is put into your Soul by your Vanguard's ability during your turn. CB1, choose a card from your hand, call to an open rearguard circle. If your Soul has 10 or more cards, you get to draw a card. And then read the subtext may be used even when this unit is put into your Soul at the same time as other units. That's kind of a big thing. That's kind of important, because that will kind of change the amount of things that you need to pop into Soul, obviously. So this allowing our Vanguard to restand multiple times, I feel like that is the real zinger. That is the reason why this deck is the ceiling is higher than Greedon Masque, if not the consistency overall. It's really up to you which one you want to play. If you want to play them both, again, the cards are very interchangeable, as you can kind of see throughout the deck so far. There's still very minimal changes from here on out, but this is the real zinger. This is the real difference between the two. And you know, Masque is pretty powerful, but the package is sometimes not always easy for everyone to get, or you know, people want to avoid the Masque package in general. This is another build that you can do using Bubetsu to kind of restand multiple times on your Vanguard. This is the card that kind of enables it all. Lastly, these guys over here, Desire Devil Goju, once again, just popping those back to hand. I know you need more cards in Soul, really, to get that extra 15k to restand on your Vanguard and just power up, but again, at times, like, you will kind of need this, just cards in your hand. You're going to see this can also, when you call things down off of Bubetsu, like, if you didn't have enough in hand to even, like, really make a difference, boom, Energy Blast 3. Guess what? You have a Bubetsu call target now, so that kind of little interaction works pretty well in my opinion, so I do like it still at that 3 of. Unlike the other builds, I am actually including 2 of them in this right here, so Desire Devil and Kane. Just multiple drive checks on the Vanguard. I already explained the importance of it. I believe it's even more amplified in this version. You don't use as many counterblasts because you don't have like the grade 2 retch, so I think that there is spare counterblasts. It's easy once you get up to that 7 threshold. Once you do it, you can start soaking damage, swinging. It makes it really easy. Plus, there is another card, which we'll go over in just a second, that helps us with the counter charge. And that guy is actually this right here, Desire Devil Kufisagi? I don't know. I'm not even going to try that one. When this guy is put to rearguard circle by the ability of your Greedon, the one with the real Greedon name, so Avaricious Demonic Dragon Greedon, if you did not countercharge this turn, you get to countercharge one. So it's important to get this guy out. It could help you in the long run kind of countercharge and get that off, but its second skill, auto in the soul, when your rearguard is placed by your card's ability, if your Vanguard is Avaricious Demonic Dragon Greedon, you can then, if your damage on is 4 or more cards also, that cold unit gets an extra 5k. So if you pop out that other grade 3, gets that 5k. Any other unit, you know, you're at 4, you have that Greedon name, use the Energy Blast to get a card out of Soul, things of that nature, can boom, everything will start getting that extra 5k. So that does add up over time. I think it's pretty good. Out of one of, you know, if you see it, it's good. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. You do have a lot of counterblasts to kind of play with because we are going to 7 here, so a little bit more different damage threshold than your regular deck. It's a completely different style of playing overall, but one of them is pretty decent. Next, let's get into the trigger, or actually, no, let's finish up by going into the PGs here. I'm toying with the idea with this one of playing the Elementaria. There's no particular reason. I just wanted to see if one of the builds would actually be decent with Elementaria, and this is the proxy for it. So some games I'll declare, hey, look, this is going to be an extra PG. Some games it's Elementaria, and I'll just kind of see from there. I'm not really sold either way. I think it's kind of, you know, it doesn't really matter. Again, like 1 out of like 7 games on my other deck. This I don't think it ever really came up on this one, so really up to you, but I'm just testing it right here, so I'm giving you the option to kind of do that as well. Getting into the triggers, starting the reverse way, we are starting with the over trigger here. Again, I still believe the Dark States one is the one for this deck. You could probably go for purple and maybe blue as well, but I think at the end of the day, this is still just, you hit this early and like the game is yours. So, you know, it definitely helps you out through the whole game, at least. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I like that guy. 3 of the draw triggers right here. I think for this deck, since you don't have the option to keep something for, you know, like standing in the front row, like you are eating 4 instead of 3. It makes it a lot harder to have something in the front row and benefit off of a front trigger. This one, it has to be the draw trigger. I just think that's the way it is. Next up here too, we have 8 crits still. Again, you could put the into soul crits if you really want to. No big deal, but absolutely need 8 crits in a restanding Vanguard deck. Why not do it? You have to do it. And then lastly, 4 regular heals. Again, maybe the restanding one is decent, but overall, just do whatever you feel like your local meta kind of calls for. Oh my god, I can't speak right now. But yeah, that is pretty much both of the decks right there. Since this was a long one, I'm not going to demo like a test hand or anything like that. If you guys want, maybe I'll bring some games to the channel. Let me know in a comment if you want to see that. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like on the video. Possibly consider subscribing to the channel. Again, anything you guys want, go purchase through that link down below. Helps me out a whole lot. Thank you in advance. But this is Alex from Alex CFE signing out. I'll catch you next time.